Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. And if you're wondering where I was yesterday, I was out at a concert seeing Skillet and Theory of a Dead Man, so I had to miss yesterday's show. But I'm back here today for the Fantasy Football Show. This is our Week 14 rankings. Thank you very much for checking us out. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, as we can bring you guys content every single day. Also, if you have any questions or comments during the show, feel free to ask them. We'll be answering any questions that come up during the show. So please check out any of those content. My name is David Huppman. This is Prime Sports World. Israel Rivera, CEO of Prime Sports World, should be joining us here momentarily. Just running a quick errand before he jumped onto the show. But yeah, he should be here just any second now. But yeah, if you're curious, I went 6-0 in my fantasy matchups this week, including beating my buddy David Drulis. I beat him by almost 50 points. I survived a matchup in this league with AJ where I had Trevor Lawrence. I had Trevor Lawrence and Evan Ingram going up against Zay Jones. And I escaped by 4 points. I was down by 30. Came back and won that matchup. Trevor Lawrence unfortunately got hurt during that game. Hopefully he's going to be okay. But yeah, I just had a good week in fantasy. I survived in the survivor pool. I won in another league. I just dominated most of my fantasy matchups this week. Yeah, it was a good week for me in fantasy. But yeah, thank you very much for checking us out. Let's jump right into it without wasting any time. let's talk about them pass throwers. Let's talk about them quarterback rankings. I got number 1. I got Dak Prescott. He's just been on another level. Also, I think this game against the Philadelphia Eagles should be really good for Dak Prescott as he looks to build on what's probably going to end up being an MVP type season for Dak Prescott. He's probably been the best quarterback in the NFL this season when we're talking about just at the quarterback position. I know Jalen Hurts only has the 2 losses, but Dak Prescott's been the best quarterback percentage so far this year. Tua Tagovailoa, yeah, that's a good matchup there for the Miami Dolphins as they go up against the Tennessee Titans in a secondary that's not all that good. There, as you're going to get 2 Monday night games this week. Basically, they're running at the same time, really. One on ESPN, one on ABC plus ESPN plus. Packers and Giants is the other one. Jalen Hurts, and then 4, I got Josh Allen. I think he's going to have a good game there against Kansas City. 5, Lamar Jackson. 6, Brock Purdy. And yes, 7, Patrick Mahomes. A little bit lower on Patrick Mahomes than I would normally have Patrick Mahomes. But I just think that offense has not been clicking on the cylinders that you expect the Patrick Mahomes offense so far this season. Then I got Justin Fields, number 8, coming off that bye. And then who he's going up against is Jared Goff there at number 9. And then my number 10, I got Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania is real. I almost had to buy a Gardner Minshew jersey one season because me and TJ had this little bet going. Fortunately, that's not the way things shook out. Then I got 10, I got Gardner Minshew the second. Oh, yeah, I mentioned him. My outside looking in, I got Justin Herbert. That offense just has not been clicking. He has just not been productive as I thought he'd be. I thought that game against New England would be a get-right game for Justin Herbert. It just straight up wasn't. 2, Jameis Winston. I think he's going to be the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints moving forward as they either Derek Carr's either hurt or Jameis Winston is just the better option there at the starting quarterback position. And then 3, I got CJ Stroud. Continues a really strong rookie season. Although this is a tough matchup he's going up against. I believe it's going against the New York Jets, who still have Sauce Gardner and still have one of the better defenses in the National Football League. And then my sneaky and daily. I got Gardner Minshew. The second is my sneaky and daily, 5,400. I just think he has some mojo about him. I think he also has a pretty good matchup against Cincinnati Bengals. You saw what they just did against Trevor Lawrence. Put up big numbers in that game against them on Monday Night Football. I think there could be a scenario which we're talking about Gardner Minshew putting up very similar numbers to what we saw out of Trevor Lawrence last week. He does have the offensive weapons to get that done. And then on the other side, we got Izzy's rankings. I got number 1, I got Jalen Hurts. 2, Dak Prescott. Probably for the same, you got the guy who's going up against each other in back-to-back. Expect that to be a high-scoring affair there in Dallas as those 2 teams lock up. 2, Tagovailoa. 4, Josh Allen. 5, Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes going up against each other back-to-back in his rankings as well. 6, Lamar Jackson. 7, Brock Purdy. 8, Justin Fields. And then you got I just got thrown off there. Lamar Jackson, number 6, 7, Brock Purdy, 8, Justin Fields coming off that bye. 8, 9, he's got Jordan Love. Of course, is he the Packer fan? Loving on Jordan Love. 10, Justin Herbert. Then his outside looking in, he got Russell Wilson coming off having that 5-game winning streak snapped. Was not particularly good in that game, throwing 3 interceptions. 2, Jared Goff. And 3, he's got CJ Stroud in the same place that I do. And then his sneaky and daily, 6,500, he's got Jake Browning as a member of the Cincinnati Bengals going up against that Colt defense, which has been giving up some points. Gave up some decent points there against the Tennessee Titans this most recent weekend. It's potential that he could have a good game there as well. Jamar Chase is, as we mentioned on every single show, he's always effing open. So look for Jamar Chase to continue his strong play. Or Jake Browning as he looks to continue building on what was this really strong week there on Monday Night Football going against the Jaguars for Jake Browning. From those pass catchers, we got them rock toters. My number 1 running back is the same as Izzy's over there. I got Alvin Kamara. I just think that's going to be a matchup where they're going to be feeding Alvin Kamara. Also, he said a little bit of he's only one of 5 running backs to have I don't remember what the exact number is, but he did something only 5 other running backs have done in the history of the National Football League. He's in some rarefied air there with LaDainian Tomlinson and Barry Sanders and Eric Dickerson. Just really good company there for Alvin Kamara going up against the Carolina Panthers team. Still looking for that second win. Probably will not get it this week either. Number 2, I got Josh Jacobs. I just think that this Vegas offense has moved better when Josh Jacobs has had the football. He's coming off a game where he was really strong against Kansas City, coming off that bye. Going up against the Minnesota Vikings, have been successful to the running game. He could have a good game there. 3, Chris McCaffrey. Yeah, a little bit lower on Chris McCaffrey than potentially usually than you might expect. But I think, I think he continues to touch on the street, but I just think you can see a game where his value is a little bit limited there. 4, Bijan Robinson. He's the whole offense there in Atlanta. Look for him to continue to feed him. Saquon Barkley at number 5. 6, Austin Eckler. I have been semi-disappointed with what I've seen out of Austin Eckler this season. This could be a game where he potentially bounces back as a member of the Chargers going up against the Denver Broncos team. And again, a game the Chargers basically have to win if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive at any kind of stretch of the imagination. 7, Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, he was having a really solid game up until he got ejected. There is potential that maybe he gets suspended for this game, but the fact that they haven't announced nothing yet to this point makes me think he'll be okay. 8, Rachaad White. 9, Joe Mixon. 10, Kyron Williams. 5 touchdowns. He's been back for 3 weeks. 5 touchdowns in those 3 games. He's been back. The dude's just been awesome. Devon Achane also has been awesome. He came back last week, had 2 touchdowns in that game, really stealing some production out of Raheem Mostert. So that's something to definitely watch if you're a Raheem Mostert owner. I would keep an eye out for that. Travis Etienne, probably if Trevor Lawrence is unable to go, look for them to lean even heavier on the running game. Then David Montgomery for the Detroit Lions going up against his former team, Chicago Bears. Look for him to have a good game there as well. And then my stinky daily, Ty Chandler, 4,600. He's the backup running back there in Minnesota. He's kind of the scat back, fast guy. Look for him to be heavily involved in the passing game. I just like what they've done with him and especially off the bye. Let's see what they cook up for him. And then Delvin Cook, he's looked like the better running back for a couple weeks here for the New York Jets. So Dalvin Cook at 4,400 could have some value there at the running back position if you want to go real cheap. But I wouldn't recommend going cheap enough to afford Dalvin Cook. I think there are better options at the higher pay grade. But Dalvin Cook could have a touchdown, could have a good game there. And then on Izzy's side, he's got Alvin Kamara. He's got Christian McCaffrey at 1 and 2. He's a little bit higher on Christian McCaffrey. He's way higher on Isaiah Pacheco than I am. This running game for Kansas City has been the stable part of that offense right now. That passing game has not been stable. It's been the play of Isaiah Pacheco that's kept this ship afloat for the Kansas City offense. 4, Saquon Barkley. Yeah, he's their all offense there in New York as Tommy DeVito gets his 3rd start in the National Football League. 5, Rachaad White. Again, another guy who's been like the whole focal point of the offense there in Tampa Bay. 6, Zach Moss. Wasn't stellar as the basically the starting running back, as the lone guy getting carries there in Indianapolis. He was banged up a little bit in that game. Did come back, so should be okay. 7, Austin Eckler. 8, Bijan Robinson. 10, Josh Jacobs. And he's got Devon Achane there rounding out his top 10. And then on the outside looking in, he's got Tony Pollard. I don't know. I just think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to limit what they can do in the running game. Travis Etienne there at number 2, and then he's got Joe Mixon at number 3 outside looking in. And then Devontae Foreman for the Chicago Bears at 5,900. I think that's a pretty solid option, even though I think I'm not sure what the status is on Khalil Herbert. Roschon Johnson, I think, is going to be the starting guy as he's healthy, and I think they want to find out if he can play there for the Chicago Bears. Moving on from the pass rock toters to the pass catchers. Me and him on the same wavelength when we talk about our number 1 guy. We got Tyreek Hill both as number 1. Tyreek Hill maybe putting together a MVP campaign this season, as if he gets over 2,000 yards, they give a hard time not giving him the MVP trophy. 2, Justin Jefferson. Yeah, coming back off that injury. I look for him to feature him a lot in an offense that it needs to win games, going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. And welcome into the show, CEO, Mr. Israel Rivera. We're already on the wide receivers as I get into my wide receiver rankings. Welcome into the show, buddy.
Miles Bridges. I'm just playing. Yeah, let's go, baby. Wide receivers.
Wide receivers. So back to mine.
Wide receivers. We starting with your wide receivers.
I'm going with mine. I was already in the middle of mine. Number 1, I got Tyreek Hill. I was just mentioning maybe an MVP campaign he's putting together if he gets over 2,000 yards, and with the quarterback play this season, I think Tyreek Hill is going to be the MVP. 2, Justin Jefferson, he's returning there for the Minnesota Vikings, going against a lackluster defense in the Las Vegas Raiders. I think Justin Jefferson will be featured heavily as his first game back. 3, Mike Evans. Yeah, all he does is catch touchdowns. All he does is just catch passes from whoever is throwing the ball.
No, David. Future Hall of Famer Mike Evans.
Future Hall of Famer Mike Evans. 4, CeeDee Lamb, and then in that same match, I got A.J. Brown as number 5. I got the Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown at number 6. At number 7, he's always effing open, Jamar Chase. I'm not worried about the quarterback situation there in Cincinnati. We saw that what that was on Monday. Jamar Chase should have a good game. 8, Keenan Allen, a pretty lackluster match showing for him against New England. Not quite Keenan Allen type numbers that we expected so far this season. 9, Stephon Diggs. Yeah, a little bit lower on Stephon Diggs than I am usually. But that Buffalo defense, I think, is tough. Or that Kansas City defense, I think, is tough. 10, Michael Pittman Jr. His target share is just absurd right now. I think he had 11 catches in the game against Tennessee. Gardner Minshew was clearly looking for him. And then from the outside looking in, I got DK Metcalf coming off that hat trick of touchdowns. I'm shocked you don't even have him in your top 13 or like outside looking in. Then 2, Devontae Adams.
Absolutely not. Are you? Did you not listen to the show yesterday? Charvarius Ward in that first matchup blanketed DK Metcalf. He held him to 3 catches, only 30 yards. And I remember you all night were complaining about DK Metcalf and how DK Metcalf wasn't doing anything for you that night. I think you had your fantasy team on one of your fantasy teams.
I don't own DK Metcalf in any way.
You don't own DK Metcalf? What was that wide receiver you were complaining about?
Tyler Lockett.
Was it Tyler Lockett? Okay, yeah. Well, anyway, none of those guys.
2, and then 2, I got Devontae Adams. 3, I got Courtland Sutton, who's had a really strong season here for the Denver Broncos. And then by sneaky and daily, I got Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's emerging as a premier option. He's almost jumped Tyler Lockett there in Seattle. And then Jameson Williams continues to be more acclimated into the offense, 4,100 and 3,500 respectively. I think those are good rolls of the dice when it comes to the wide receiver position.
Especially Jackson Smith-Njigba. I think, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf are going to be guys that San Francisco are going to be, have on as on the radar. I'm sorry, guys. I'm chopping up. I'm super excited right now. I don't know why. Excited. So Jackson Smith-Njigba is the guy that is going to get the nickel corner, the 4th best corner, the 3rd best corner. He's going to get the most favorable matchup. And I believe that, down the stretch and as the season has progressed, he has been a very valuable asset to that offense. I mean, he's made big plays for them in clutch situations. So I like Jackson Smith-Njigba at 4,100. And Jameson Williams, finally, Detroit is using Jameson Williams the way they should be using Jameson Williams, right? Instead of just telling him go deep and catch a deep ball on a prayer, they're using him in jet sweeps. They're using him as a running back out the field. They're using him in screens. They're using him in crossing routes. They're using him in short pattern situations to get him out of space.
I don't know if you know this or not, but you can't teach speed.
You cannot teach speed. So when you get a guy like Jameson Williams out in space, he is going to do wondrous things for you. So I love your DraftKings guys. Anyways, at number 1, yes, Tyreek Hill. He has been flat out amazing this season. He's on pace to break the single season wide receiver record, which was set by Randy Moss. Megatron. I'm sorry about that. But anyways, when you have Wes Welker, who was a wide receiver, a teammate with Randy Moss, and he came out and said Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver I've ever seen, which I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt because he's his wide receiver coach. He's probably thinking that, but, so he said Randy can go deep and whatever. But yeah, Tyreek Hill has been flat out amazing. Number 2, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, what can I say? I mean, if I have to pick another, number 2, AJ Brown has cooled off in the last month or so. CeeDee Lamb has not. That offense has been humming. I expect him this week at home against Philadelphia to have a great game. Number 3, Amon-Ra St. Brown going against Chicago. I mean, he's probably outside of Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans and Keenan Allen, he's probably the most consistent wide receiver in the NFL. You can count on Amon-Ra St. Brown to get you 6-7 catches, 80 plus yards. Maybe he won't get you a touchdown. Maybe he will. But he is as solid as they come. At number 4, I got AJ Brown. Going against Dallas. I expect that game to be high scoring, or I expect AJ Brown to. I saw him get back on track last week a little bit. At number 5, Justin Jefferson. Coming back this week. I got him a little lower just because of the quarterback situation. Is it going to be Jaron Hall? Is it going to be Josh Dobbs? David, do you have any information on that?
Let me take a look. If you go through your ranking, I'll look it up.
We talked about that. We talked about that yesterday. We don't know who it's going to be. I think they're leaning towards Josh Dobbs. I said they should go with Josh Dobbs. Just give the guy a week. He's proven himself already this week with little bit. You got to give him. You got to give him a week at least with Justin Jefferson, right? Give him a week with Justin Jefferson. Him, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson.
So 10 hours ago, the Minnesota announced Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network and Tom Pelissero, Joshua Dobbs will remain the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings against the Las Vegas Raiders. So it will be Joshua Dobbs.
Absolutely. And as I keep sharing this, guys, keep watching the show, guys. Thank you for the 3 viewers that are watching the show. At number 5, number 6, I got Mike Evans. Yes, Mike Evans. Shout out to Mike Evans. I gave him my game ball of the week yesterday on our preview show for 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He has had to deal with 7 different starting quarterbacks in Tampa Bay. It doesn't matter who's throwing him the rock. Mike Evans is flat out amazing. He's always been a top 10 wide receiver ever since he's been in the league. He's the top 10 wide receiver in fantasy this week. I expect him to have a big game again, and I believe they're going against Atlanta. So they're going to feed him that football. Right. Number 7, I got Keenan Allen. Yeah, Keenan Allen's another one. As consistent as they come, Keenan Allen going up against Denver. If you don't know, Nico Collins gave Denver the business yesterday. This past week, right, David? The business. Gave him the business in absence of Tank Dell being injured. And that's actually a question I'm going to ask for you after I'm done with my rankings. At number 8, we got DJ Moore going up against the Detroit Lions. At number 9, I got Stephon Diggs. And then rounding out my top 10, Michael Pittman Jr. going up against the Cincinnati Bengals defense there. And then on my outside looking in, I have Jamar Chase, who's always freaking open, like David says, Deebo Samuel, who has been on a tear since the bye week, and Jalen Waddle, who I expect to have a pretty solid game going up against Tennessee and whoever the hell is going to cover him. And then my cheap option in FanDuel is Alec Pierce, who caught 3 out of 4 targets for 100 yards, and I believe he had a touchdown as well.
Correct. Or no, I didn't.
No, he didn't have a touchdown, but he had 100 yards. He
had a big pass play that led to a touchdown later on the same drive. I don't think he got into the end zone.
He didn't get into the end zone. But Alec Pierce is a guy I would roll the dice on. 5,500. Gardner Minshew is looking for him, and Michael Pittman Jr. So my question to you, David, is, since I know I didn't have a chance to look over the quarterback rankings, but we know young rookie CJ Stroud has been on a tear. Going up against the New York Jets, just because, I'm kind of in this predicament as well. Would you start any of those wide receivers? Because I know Tank Dell's out for, I don't know if he's out for the season or out for a few weeks.
He broke his fibula. I can't imagine.
Yeah, he's not coming back. It's not coming back.
I don't.
So, Nico Collins, Noah Brown, you got Brevin Jordan, and then I think Dalton Schultz is a little bit banged up.
I do not think he will play.
You don't think he'll play? So it'll be Brevin Jordan. So out of those 3 guys, and let's talk about wide receivers. Nico Collins or Noah Brown, who's going to benefit the most, and who do you think will have a better game against the New York Football Jets?
I think it'll be Noah Brown. I think Nico Collins will draw the Sauce Gardner matchup. If I had to pick one of those 2 guys, I would rather start Noah Brown.
Noah Brown. There you go, guys. And that's good advice for me, because I actually have to start Noah Brown this week in fantasy. So there you go.
Bobby Schultz's cousin, Dalton Schultz, by the way, did return to practice in a limited capacity. So he may actually play.
He may actually play. But I did like what I saw out of Brevin Jordan. I think he had 60 yards. He caught a few balls from CJ Stroud. So, maybe he'll catch the end zone this week.
And the loss of Tank Dell plus the defense that they're going up against in New York, which is why CJ Stroud was number 13 in my rankings, the same as yours. I had to dock him a little bit because, losing Tank Dell, that hurts.
That definitely hurts. And also let's not act like the New York Jets are a slouch of a defense. I mean, it's the only reason that they give up some points is because their defense is on the field so much. Their defense is not the problem. It's their offense that doesn't last long, doesn't give them consistent drives to give them a wind. So
I agree with you on that. From those pass catchers, let's talk about the little bit bulkier pass catchers. Let's talk about them tight ends. I'll let you go first.
All right. Yeah. At number 1, Travis Kelce, man, going up against the Buffalo Bills. Man, so I mean, these days he's getting triple teamed. I mean, there's nobody. I think Travis Kelce has so much value when there's actually a threat on the outside, or there's an actual threat that can take away some coverage away from Travis Kelce. So I was almost about to put Sam Laporta at number 1. That's just me.
I don't think that's crazy.
It's not crazy, because look at what happened against Green Bay. Look what's been happening all season. I mean, Travis Kelce he hasn't been getting in the end zone as much. He hasn't been being able to get he's been getting the target share, but he hasn't been able to get the ball as much because he's double teamed, and Pat Mahomes has been having to go elsewhere. So Sam
Laporta in the top 12 of all positions in terms of fantasy scoring the most this week with 29 points.
Yeah, he is amazeballs. At number 2, I got Sam Laporta. At number 3, TJ Hockenson. At number 4, Dalton Kincaid. We got the Iowa trio there in the top 5. Yes, at number 5, Dalton Kincaid. I'm just playing Dalton Kincaid from the Buffalo Bills going up against the Kansas City Chiefs this week. And number 6, I got Evan Ingram. Yes, number 6, Evan Ingram. I don't anticipate T-Law playing with that high ankle sprain. So we are going to see CJ Beathard, but he is.
I also don't. Well, CJ Beathard's dealing with an injury too. Another thing with Evan Ingram, I also don't expect Christian Kirk to play.
Either. Yeah.
And Evan Ingram clearly benefited by the fact that Christian Kirk was out. Based on I think he had 20 fantasy points last week.
Yeah. So Evan Ingram has been he's been definitely a top 10 tight end.
Man, he got his first touchdown of the year this week on Monday. That's crazy.
That's crazy. But I mean, it's crazy that he's
and it was his first. It was his first touchdown at home in Jacksonville since he became a Jaguar.
This is the thing, is that ladies and gentlemen, he's been a top 10 tight end in fantasy, and he hasn't scored a touchdown. That's his first touchdown of the season, and he's been a top 10 fantasy tight end. That's how good he's been, just in terms of volume, catching the football, getting the target share from Trevor Lawrence. At number 7, I got David Njoku. It really, honestly, man, this has been a breakout season a little bit for David Njoku. It doesn't matter who's the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. David Njoku has been showing his athleticism. He's been showing his football intelligence and finding the right zones. He's been making plays. He has been healthy. So I like David Njoku, top 10 tight end this week. Cleveland Browns. Number 8, Jake Ferguson. He's cooled off a little bit, but I think he'll have a good game against Philly. At number 9, Cole Kmet. This is about the time of year that Cole Kmet starts to heat up. I like him against Detroit. And then round out my top 10, I got Taysom Hill going up against I believe it's the Carolina Panthers, if I'm not mistaken. They're
correct,
going against, yes. And then on my outside looking in, I got Isaiah Likely from the Baltimore Ravens, Pat Freiermuth, who is going to have Mitchell Trubisky probably throwing him the football this week.
100% will.
Yes. And then at number 3, on my outside looking in, I got Tucker Kraft, a tight end from the Green Bay Packers, who is the number 1 tight end right now in that room. And also Tucker Kraft has been, getting some target shares, a nice, bulk of the target shares from Jordan Love. And then my sneaky option in FanDuel, I just talked about him, Brevin Jordan from the Houston Texans. He had, 5 catches for 60 something yards. I think he gets in the end zone this week. Roll the dice on for 5,000 in FanDuel.
From your fantasy football rankings, let's tight end. Let's talk about mine. Yeah, I got number 1. I got Travis Kelce. He's been a little bit not as good over the last couple weeks, but yeah, he always got to roll because he's going to get the target share. He hasn't gotten in the end zone, I think, in 2 weeks. So hopefully, for fantasy that changes. 2, T.J. Hockenson. He was a little bit banged up at the end of that bye week's probably going to be helpful for him. He's been kind of the escape valve for Joshua Dobbs since he's been there. I am a little bit worried about Justin Jefferson eating into the Hockenson value, but I still got him at number 2. 3, Sam Laporta. 4, Taysom Hill. Yeah, I'm way higher on Taysom Hill than you are. I think that Taysom Hill's been like the lone bright spot of this New Orleans Saints offense. So Taysom Hill's been solid. He's just kind of been the guy that you need to get good plays. He also gives you value in the running game. You almost never get that from the tight end position. 5, George Kittle. 6, Jake Ferguson. 7, Evan Ingram. Yeah, I think that because of the Christian Kirk injury, and it looked like CJ Beathard was looking for Evan Ingram a lot during that game. So, just keep the value up there. 8, Cole Kmet. 9, Dalton Kincaid. Going against a pretty tough Kansas City defense. But they did give up a touchdown to Tucker Kraft last week. So maybe you can hang your hat on that. 10, David Njoku. For all the reasons that Izzy said. 10, on the outside looking in, Brevin Jordan. If he is the starting tight end there, if Dalton Schultz comes back, I would probably flip Dalton Schultz and Brevin Jordan in my rankings. 2, Tucker Kraft. Yeah. Number 1 tight end there in Green Bay, and the Packers like to use the tight end. He's going to have value. 3, Pat Freiermuth. Pretty abysmal performance there in week number 13. But you get to practice with the Mitchell Trubisky for an entire week here. So hopefully he gets bounced back. And then Tanner Hudson, my sneaky and daily on the Cincinnati Bengals. Him and Jake Browning seem to have a really solid rapport there. At 2,800, I think that's a pretty good dice roll. Seemed like he just caught a lot of really clutch passes. And Jake Browning was looking for Tanner Hudson there down the stretch for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Absolutely.
And then from the tight ends, let's talk about the other side of the ball, them defenses. And my number 1 defense is the Miami Dolphins. I just think that the Miami Dolphins defense has been humming. And they're going up against the Tennessee Titans offense that has the Colts put up crazy numbers on defense last week. The Dolphins should be able to feast on a rookie quarterback. The Dolphins should be my number 1. 2, the Saints. Going up against the Carolina Panthers, a abysmal offense. 3, the Pittsburgh Steelers. CJ Beathard is in fact the starter there. Steelers have value. 4 is the Indianapolis Colts. They're going against Jake Browning in the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a better defense than the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they'll force Jake Browning into some mistakes, especially in terms of getting pressure after the quarterback. The Colts are my number 4 defense. 5 is the Baltimore Ravens. They've just been real steady this season. Going up against the Los Angeles Rams offense has been kind of inconsistent this year. And then my outside looking at the Houston Texans going up against the New York Jets with whoever is going to be the starting quarterback of that team, as they released Tim Boyle yesterday. So
I bet that makes you happy, David, for some odd reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
He should be in the USFL, or where should he go?
No, dude, he should probably work at accountant or something. I'm just saying, dude. Then the San Francisco 49ers, they stifled this Seattle offense last time they played. Look for that continue to start there. And then you got the Cleveland Browns on the very last, going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars with probably CJ Beathard starting there. Defense that's already stout, going up against the backup quarterback. Like that's a recipe for success. And then 3,000 for the Browns and DraftKings, my sneaky and daily.
I like it, man. Those Cleveland Browns, like I said, we have the same, and I'll get to it, but we have the same sneaky option in FanDuel. Yeah, I think the Cleveland Browns going up, golly, they have a lot of value. They're cheap. And they're going to get against whoever's going to be the quarterback in Jacksonville. I
would be legitimately shocked if it's Trevor Lawrence. Like he did.
He's got the high ankle sprain.
Because it took him like 10 years to get to the locker room for those X-rays.
Yeah. So did you know the story about that, right?
No.
You don't know the story of how Trevor Lawrence. So apparently, AEW was in Jacksonville that day. Yeah. Yeah. And so they used all of the boards, the boards to get like the gurneys and stuff like that. They used all the gurneys and everything for AEW, and they didn't have any in the stadium.
Man, I don't like they showed Trevor Lawrence during the game, and he was moving slow as molasses. I'm like, is he ever gonna get to the locker room?
No, dude, it's because they didn't have enough equipment because they used it all for AEW that weekend or for that Sunday or whatever, Monday, whatever it was in Jacksonville.
Yeah, All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah.
Also, the Travis Kelsey's brother in the live chat. Yeah, I love that shout out, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
Yes. So yeah, my number one defense is the Pittsburgh Steelers going up against whoever the hell is New England's quarterback, whether it's Mac Jones, whether it's Bailey Zappi, whether it's I don't even know who the hell they at this point. You know what? I would rather.
You know what they should do at this point? They should have Bill Belichick take staffs under center.
No. They should have Malik Cunningham, who used to be the Louisville Cardinals quarterback. He's similar to what Lamar Jackson did. Just to have him play the rest of the season. Why not? You activate him at the practice squad. You put him at the wide receiver. He was a backup. He's supposed to. You try to transition him to wide receiver. He could play emergency quarterback right now. He's your emergency quarterback. Why not? Just roll the dice and play Malik Cunningham. Why not?
Yeah.
At number one, Pittsburgh Steelers. At number two, the San Francisco 49ers. Their defense is on a whole nother level. They're going against the Seattle Seahawks, who they literally blew out just a couple weeks ago. So I like the San Francisco 49ers. At number three, I got the Baltimore Ravens going up against the Rams. I mean, I like what the Rams have done. How many games have they won in a row? What, 2, 3 in a row? 2? Yeah, something like that. I still like them. Even though they're still a great red zone defense.
The Rams also beat bad football teams on that 2-game winning streak. They beat the Cardinals, and then they beat the Browns with their backup quarterback.
Yeah, with their backup quarterback. Yeah. So I don't expect Kyron Williams, who I love, used to play for Notre Dame. I don't expect him to have a game like he did last week. At number 4,
the last 2 weeks for Kyron Williams, man, he's been on fire since he came back.
At number 4, I got the New Orleans Saints going up against Carolina. One wooden football team. Anyways, at number 5, I got the Miami Dolphins going up against Tennessee. No Derrick Henry, probably. So you're going to see a lot of Tajay Spears and whoever else is running the football. So I expect them to struggle a little bit against the Dolphins. Plus, not to mention that game's probably, the Dolphins are probably going to get up ahead, so they're going to force Will Levis to throw the football, which means that defense is going to rear their ears back.
I'm also not sure what the punting situation is for Tennessee.
Ryan Tannehill was out there, holding, kicks.
Yeah.
And that's why
cost them the
game. So they should have probably brought in a backup.
I imagine they brought in someone because their punter got jacked up.
Oh yeah, I saw it. I don't even need to see it again.
Terrible time.
terrible time. On the outside looking in, they got the Houston Texans going up against the New York Jets. Zach Wilson is the starting quarterback, but that New York Jets offense is lethargic. I got the Cleveland Browns as well in the Green Bay Packers, my Green Bay Packers, going up against the New York Giants and Tommy DeVito, who, honestly, I'm going to say this right now. I said it yesterday. Isaiah Pacheco ran for over 100 yards against the Green Bay Packers.
I told you.
Oh yeah, you did. And so Saquon Barkley always has good games against the Green Bay Packers. So the first thing that Joe Barry is going to have to do is stop the run. And that defense is going to have to stop the run, learn how to stop the run. And then, everything else will fall into place, because, Tommy DeVito is back there throwing the football. Last year, the Green Bay Packers had a bad time in England as they dropped that one to New York. I don't expect this to happen this year, as this New York Giants offensive line should be feasted on by that front seven for the Green Bay Packers. So I got them on the outside looking in. And my sneaky option in daily fantasy is the Cleveland Browns at 3,800 going up against Jacksonville. Yes.
And then before we get up out of here, as we always do here at Prime Sports World Fantasy Football Weekly, we try to predict who will be the number one scorer in fantasy. Do you know who it was this past week?
This past week, it was either Deebo Samuel or, depending on what you're looking at, Deebo Samuel or DK Metcalf.
So in PPR scoring, it was DK Metcalf with 37.4 fantasy points.
Yes.
With a hat trick of touchdowns. Deebo Samuel at number 2, Nico Collins at number 3, CeeDee Lamb at number 4, and Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, at number 5.
All wide receivers.
Yeah, all wide receivers, all top 5. Actually, Jamar Chase, number 6. So top 6 guys all wide receivers this week when it comes to fantasy football rankings. When all said and done, who will be the number one scorer in fantasy for this week?
I'm going to go with Mike Evans, man, going up against the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to choose him to be my number one guy in fantasy this weekend.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Tyreek Hill going up against the Tennessee Titans. He just nobody can guard him. Like it's just
nobody can. It's
like the Commanders knew that Tyreek Hill needed to be double teamed, and yet they still gave up a 70-yard touchdown. Like
the thing is that Tyreek Hill could have probably been the number one fantasy point getter this weekend, but he barely played the fourth quarter. Because they're
blowing him up by 40 points. I mean, what?
He barely played the fourth quarter. So Tyreek Hill, we would probably be talking about Tyreek Hill being the number one point getter. He had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns and basically 3 quarters.
Yeah. The man is on another level right now. That's for damn sure. Thank you very much for checking us out here at Prime Sports World. Hopefully these fantasy rankings have helped you. As I had a clean sweep of fantasy last week, 6 matchups, 6
I was
victories.
2-2. Got eliminated out of 2 of my leagues. So
yes.
And so if I don't win in 2 of my other leagues, I will be eliminated on the last week of the season. So I better get a W this week in 2 of those leagues. One of them is Greatest People's, I believe.
Yeah, good luck. I'm 10-3 in that league. I'm cruising.
Oh, he's cruising. He's cruising. I hope I face you in the playoffs. I hope I face you in the playoffs just so I can get my revenge.
Man, so David Drew has talked all this smack in Texas to me about like fantasy football. Talking about all this stuff he was going to do to my team. I beat him by 50. I beat him by 50 points.
The big guy lost by 50.
We'll be back here actually Friday. We're going to be doing the college football show, reacting to the Heisman stuff, also reacting to the top 4 and FSU getting the snub of a century. That's for damn sure. And then on Saturday, we're going to bring back the crossover. We're going to take a look at this rookie class in the top 10, see how they're all performing so far this year. Some interesting stuff going on in the NBA. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the play-in tournament, what we've seen so far, as the final will be on Saturday night.
Screwball job last night, if you guys haven't seen it.
Yeah.
With the Suns and the Lakers. So we'll probably talk about that on Saturday too.
Without a doubt. We'll be back here. You guys all have a good weekend. Stay safe. And Izzy, what we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen. Bringing the heat.
Yes, sir. You have a good night, man. Stay safe.